Exactly,
like
going from just something, I actually lived here 25 years ago, and during the time before it was called Uptown. And to see what they have done here, taking a place, and it's not so much that they're just growing food, but they're growing people. They're growing the community, and so I'm just really proud to be a part of that. They truly are my family.
I love that phrase. that's such a that's such a great phrase. And so you're also an author, an artist. You're
Yes.
a world class juice maker. I heard. I can't wait. So talk a little bit about you and like what you do with it's
It's,
hard for.
it is. It really is hard for them. So prior to coming back to Memphis, I lived all over the country and overseas as well. And I was living off grid on the island of Kauai, farming there. And I came back for family, and I wanted to bring back all the knowledge that I had acquired from all the different places I have been farming, and so that has kind of evolved. Halls of Ivy is named after my granddaughter, and so I'm doing good work in her name. So children are very special to me, and with the pharmacy garden, it's color coded. So children and adults, they have to answer one question, and that's what color are you today, right? And that color then helps them not only identify how they relate to food, but also, not just on a physical level, but emotionally. And after COVID and all the different things that have happened, we're dealing with some serious issues. And one, we have to first identify our emotions before we can even heal from them. So in the pharmacy garden, they learn about how food affects the emotions. When we're going through high blood sugar and drops in it, we can have mood swings. We can get aggressive. We can deal with anxiety and depression. And a lot of that happens in these food deserts. And when we say food desert, it just means a lot of areas don't have access to healthy foods. And that is actually done, methodically, And so I think once you then start coming out here and you're seeing how the colors, the foods, they all relate to you, then you have this better commitment to how is food really grown? What are the real practices? So yeah, so that's kind of how the pharmacy garden kind of evolved, and we're really proud of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, because it's grown.
Yeah, definitely. You can go in your grocery store right now, and your cashiers a lot of times they don't even know the difference between, parsley and cilantro, or what is broccoli, or what is ginger. These different, because there has been a separation, there's a disconnect between us and the land. And we kind of let go of our relationship with food when grocery stores became really popular. We kind of gave that responsibility to someone else. And so I believe that the further we get away from, the garden, the sicker we become. So the real antidote, a prescription, come back to the garden. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a that's a great yeah.
The further we
Preaching.
get away from the garden, the sicker we get.
That's it.
That's a great
Yes.
soundbite right
Yes.
there. And so you a lot of this food you cook like they grow. There's so much growing here. It's
It
like
is.
no one person can eat all this food. So I understand you cook a lot of the food. You make some amazing blackberry juice.
I
Like, can you talk a little
do.
bit
That
about
is
that?
Juice for Life. Yes. That started in Nebraska. My daughter now runs that in a little town called Bellevue, Nebraska, and then we brought Juice for Life here. And it's my way of enticing people back to the garden. So I literally take the ingredients that are in season and I put it in a cup. So it goes straight from the garden to the cup. And people get to taste the garden. And it's just this beautiful way to just show just how good it can actually taste. And I love when people come out and they see me eat directly from the vine. They're like, yo, wait a minute, shouldn't you wash that? And I'm like, no, not here.
Yeah.
It's not sprayed. We're using, you know, we're using practices that honor the land. As we take from the land, then we give back to it. You know, as you saw the bird feeders. So everyone's getting love. The chickens, they do more than just, become something we put on our plate. They do pesticide control, fungicide control. They're giving us compost and rich nitrogen for our soil. So there's so many different ways, and I think we just need to go back to the older ways. I think we're trying to move so far ahead that we've lost sight.
We lost sight. We lost like Bobby was talking about, like just the nutritional value. We've lost
That's
that.
right.
We've lost the nutritional value in the food because
Exactly.
we're trying to grow it so fast now.
One of the things I always bring up, especially when I'm here in Memphis, I always say, have you been down Elvis Presley? And everyone raises their hand, and I'm like, well, what's down there? And they say Krispy Kreme, Burger King, Jack Purtle. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of that. But what's at the end? And everyone kind of like pauses. And I'm like, CVS, Walgreens, and a dialysis clinic. Because you know, and they know, by the time you hit all those spots, that's where you're going to end up. And so they have that plotted out for us. And so that's what I mean about, if we don't take back charge of our health, someone will do it for us.
Yeah.
And believe me, it will not be in our best interest.
For sure. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been struck like by the juxtaposition of the dialysis clinic next to the McDonald's and the Burger King. I live on Union, right by
You
the
see
Chick-fil-A,
it,
and there's
everywhere.
and you see it, and you're just like, how do people not put that together? That this
Someone
it-
planned that.
Yeah, someone planned that. Yeah, exactly. It's a plan.
Yeah.
But it's also just like that connection to me seems so clear, and but if you've never had that education, if you've never had like a cool coloring book where you like learn to understand
Exactly.
those kind of things, like you eat that food, because
Exactly.
that's what you learned,
Exactly.
So if you never had that education, and I think that's like why this place is so important, why what you're doing is so important.
Thank you.
Because, because it's really like without that education, kids just end up like at those places.
That's
So-
right. And and it's and there is a reason behind some of it here, especially in the South, because you have the era of Jim Crow, you have sharecropping, and you have a lot of traumatic experiences that a lot of communities and cultures had to deal with when it comes to agriculture. But it wasn't always that way. Prior to all of that,
Sorry. We waited for that.
yeah, that play.
I'm sorry
It's
about
okay.
that. Like, you're
Can't
just
time
making
it.
a great point, and like I just know that's gonna be on there, and I'm just really sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
It'll pass in like 1 second. Yeah, no, because that's such a great point that you're making of that there is like a history of trauma when it comes
It
to
does.
food, when it comes to agriculture, especially in the South.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely. My mother is the daughter of the granddaughter of a sharecropper, so that would make me the granddaughter of one. And so that's not a long time ago. And so because of that, and that is a very common thing, there is trauma with the land, where a lot of people don't want anything to do or be associated with seeing rows and rows of crops. That brings back a very traumatic past. And so what we have to do is remind them that prior to that, and even during that, there was medicinal qualities in that food. A lot of our grandparents and those before that, they lived a long time, and it was because they were outside. They were being mobile. They were eating directly from the land. And of course, yes, there was trauma. But now we're seeing more and more people owning the land. We see more and more people coming back. So we are very optimistic about the changes that are occurring. And that's why we love showing the children and others that being a farmer can look like me, can look like Jaravia and Bobby.
Or
And
can look like them.
yeah, it just like them. That's right. We talked about what was it, Mr. Cousteau, when I was a child.